Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's coming up tonight. The Prime Minister announcing big plans for Grand Bahama. All three major parties holding rallies last night. We'll tell you what they all had to say. And manatees rescued from Nassau Harbor last year released back into the wild. Those stories and so much more on the way. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and NB12 starts right now. Thanks again for joining us here at NB12. The official opening of a new government complex in Freeport marked what the Prime Minister described as his administration's statement of intent for the island of Grand Bahama. Christina McNeil has more in this report.
As he officially opened the Cornelius A. Smith building this afternoon, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham says there are great opportunities on the horizon for Grand Bahama and a vision to make Freeport more than just the second city. Since his early days in politics, the Prime Minister says he has always recognized that the physical presence of the government in Freeport was not strong enough. Beginning with the establishment of the first National Insurance Board building in Freeport, Ingraham says he has strengthened that presence up to the present day, not only with the construction of vital infrastructure and government offices, but also by naming the structures after those who have made significant contributions to the island's development. Moving forward, Ingraham says there is much more in store for Grand Bahama.
In creating the center, my government is sending a clear statement of intent. We share your vision. Freeport is proudly the nation's second city, but is also decidedly more than that. Freeport is the central artery for Grand Bahama, which we envisage as the major hub in the Bahamas for marine and maritime services, industrial development, international logistics, light manufacturing, various creative industries and other commercial enterprises, and as a major employment center for the Bahamas.
In addition, Ingraham says there will be improved public safety and enhanced recreational amenities for Grand Bahama. The various government agencies have already moved into the $20 million facility, a move described by Public Works Minister Nico Grant as a step toward cost containment.
Today, this new government administrative complex on the mall is a very impressive one in its appearance, and it is accommodating the following government agencies: the Ministry of Finance and the ITU unit of that ministry, the Passport Office, the Customs Department, the Immigration Department, and the Department of Education.
The complex is named after His Excellency Cornelius A. Smith, the Bahamas Ambassador to the United States and Permanent Representative to the Organization of American States. The Prime Minister says the decision to name the building after Ambassador Smith was based on his lifetime of service in the public and private sectors. Smith personally thanked the Prime Minister for the honor.
CA was a very valued member of my team. He was trusted, reliable, and dependable. Regardless of his national responsibilities, he was a dedicated representative and spokesperson for the people of Freeport and indeed for Grand Bahama Island. The decision by the government to name this building in his honor was a natural one in recognition of CA's immense contribution to national development.
That the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we will provide enough for those who have too little. I know it is your principle, Prime Minister. It's just a recommitment today.
Reporting for NB12 in Freeport, I'm Christina McNeil.
Well, less than 24 hours ago, the Prime Minister accused the Progressive Liberal Party of renting a crowd and orchestrating a demonstration in Bainstown and Grantstown during his recent visit to that constituency. He told F&M supporters during the party's mass rally on R.M. Bailey Park last night that the PLP tried to get in the way of the Free National Movement's campaign in over-the-hill communities because the opposition is desperate and afraid. Vonig Toot reports.
When the Free National Movement returned to Billy Park on Thursday night for another mass rally, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham couldn't resist mentioning his eventful visit to Bainstown and Grantstown on Wednesday. He accused the Progressive Liberal Party of busing supporters into that inner city community to disrupt his walkabout.
Mr. Ingram drove, then walked through the area, which is a PLP stronghold, in hopes of convincing residents to throw their support behind the FNM. However, a portion of his 2-hour tour was diverted after police got reports that nearly 200 disorderly PLP supporters were gathered at Sarah Robinson Park on Meadow Street. The Prime Minister called it a rented crowd.
The PLP are so desperate and afraid that they tried to get in the way of our campaigning over the hill yesterday.
Are you serious?
They even busted people from other constituencies. Got on the phone, called Shane Gibson, bring the troops. Melanie Griffin, bring the troops. The Smith boy down in Nassau Village, bring the troops. Bussin'. Why couldn't they find people in Baintown to stand up? They couldn't muster enough residents from Bain and Grantstown to take part in their orchestrated demonstrations, so they bust people in, just like they bust people in to make up the crowds at their rallies.
The FNM leader has been criticized in some quarters for visiting that community so close to the 2012 general election. But he argued that there are no garrison constituencies in the Bahamas, adding that the support he felt from residents was extraordinary.
They seem not to know that I frequent neighborhoods over the hill on a regular basis. The fellas on the blocks, the mothers, the grandmothers on the porch, and the children playing in the yards. I'm never surprised to see me, Hubert Ingram, pass by driving myself over there.
Bainstown and Grantstown was just the first of several over-the-hill communities Mr. Ingram plans to visit before the general elections. He said his government has a vision of urban redevelopment and intends to advance the transformation of those areas through social and economic empowerment.
If the philosophy of those who oppose us is to keep traditional neighborhoods poor and in disrepair so they can continue to feed false promises of a better tomorrow, that is not our philosophy. We believe that over-the-hill neighborhoods deserve better. Residents in those neighborhoods need a leg up, not a handout. And we in the FNM intend to ensure that all those residents know that with the FNM they'll get the leg up necessary to improve their conditions and make better futures for themselves and for their children.
However, in a statement released yesterday, the PLP's candidate for Bainstown and Grantstown, Dr. Bernard Nottage, claimed the Prime Minister is someone who is only pretending to care about over-the-hill communities. Mr. Ingram says that's fair talking.
I can report to you now that many residents of Grantstown, Baintown were offended by their outgoing MP's behavior yesterday. As one resident told me yesterday, the PLP don't own over the hill. We are Bahamians first. So the PLP better stop thinking we belong to them. Baintown and Grantstown, Centerville and Farm Road, Angleston, Marathon, Nassau Village. The PLP is taking you for granted too long. They only know you when it's election time. I ask you to come with me. Come with the FNM.
The governing party will visit a number of family islands over the next few days before returning here to Billy Park next week, Thursday. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
And while the Prime Minister was bashing the PLP, that party's leader was in North Eleuthera outlining a vision for major changes in border protection and control. Charisma Robinson reports.
PLP leader Perry Christie unveiled his plans for the Defense Force at a mass rally in North Eleuthera last night, one night after Prime Minister Hubert Ingram revealed plans to strengthen that organization.
Christie says if elected, the PLP would implement its comprehensive plan as soon as it takes office.
It's the only way we can ensure that our fisheries resources and the livelihood of our fishermen are protected and secured now and for future generations of Bahamians.
According to Christie, the PLP has a bold and viable plan to deal with poaching. He says his party will recruit an additional 350 officers and Marines for the Defense Force over the next 5 years.
We will give renewed focus on deepening and expanding the technical and engineering skills of our Marines through education and through training. We will acquire 5 additional medium-sized patrol craft, 1 multi-purpose support craft in the range of 150 to 200 feet, and 6 additional smaller multi-purpose vessels with rapid response capabilities. We will also acquire.
The opposition leader says if elected, a PLP government would also acquire a long-range patrol aircraft to provide aerial patrol and 2 general-purpose aircrafts for patrols and transport support.
These are just some of the steps that we will be taking to not only deal with our illegal immigration problem, but to better police our waters against foreign poachers. We simply have to do a better job of protecting our nation's fishing industry, and by golly, I tell you, we will.
Ingram promised to upgrade the RBDF by adding 11 new vessels to its fleet, deepening Coral Harbor, and adding 235 Marines to the force. Christie, however, asked North Lutherans to vote PLP and ignore Ingram's promises. Reporting for NB12, I'm Charisma Robinson.
Well, Democratic National Alliance leader Granville McCartney bashing the other 2 major party leaders during his party's Eastern Rally for Change last night. He said the current leader of the PLP has done nothing between 2007 and 2012 to make him worthy of another chance. The DNA leader then accused Prime Minister Hubert Ingram of having failed miserably to protect Bahamians who have lost their homes, protect the Bahamian businessmen who had to close their businesses as a result of the New Providence Road Improvement Project, and protect Bahamians who lost their jobs. He said despite what the experienced politicians say, they do not deliver or believe in Bahamians.
Ingram and Christie have been in Parliament collectively for 70 years. That equates to, listen, 25,550 days. That's Ingram and Christie have been in Parliament for 25,550 days. Now, they ain't do what they had to do then. They certainly ain't to do it now. No way. I say go over him today. It is time for a change.
McCartney also aimed to discredit Prime Minister Hubert Ingram's promise to purchase 11 new vessels for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Ingram announced Wednesday night that the vessels will cost $120 million.
A promise is a comfort to a fool. Promise this, promise that. My God, I heard him tonight. He promised to provide over $100+ million worth of vessels to the Defense Force base and so on and so forth. He just doing that because he won that vote on the 30th of April, you know. Don't be fooled. He ain't got no money. He can't pay the civil servants. Where he get $100 million from? Talk. My people ain't fooled, man.
The DNA leader also reiterated his plans for immigration and national security.